up, vlog? Welcome back for another video. As you can see by the title, today's video is a faith in college video, and I'm really excited for this. Ever since I started this channel, it was something that I wanted to film and just kind of talk about, because I know for me, my faith has grown a lot throughout college. I know a lot of people have that same experience. Some people don't. So I just kind of want to talk about like my experience, tips, just like whole mix of things, just kind of what it can look like, I guess. Before I start this video though, I want to say like there's no perfect way to do this. I'm not a perfect person. None of us are. These are just things that have helped me. And definitely my faith journey has been up and down like any other person. So this isn't a like cure-all to, oh, if you do this, your faith will be perfect in college, things like that. These are just things that have helped me and things that I've kind of had to ground myself in and remind myself of. So yeah, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. All right, before I get started, I did just want to kind of give like a super brief, I guess, testimony, kind of like my background. So growing up, I kind of grew up like in and out of the church, just with moving, things like that, other just external things that happen. But yeah, so I kind of pretty much grew up in the church, just not super involved. And then in middle school, I started going with my friend to a different church, started volunteering with her, went to their middle school stuff, but like, it was just kind of like going through the motions, and same throughout most of high school. And then my junior year of high school, I met some friends in one of my classes, started going to their youth group. And that's when I really got involved, really started to learn what it actually meant to have a faith and like how to like make those decisions and those steps and things like that. And I went to a camp called Lake Ann over the summer in between junior and senior year. And that was when I made the actual decision to follow Christ and to dedicate my life to him. And then from there, I continued to grow. The summer throughout senior year, like just grew in it a lot, really learned the value of community, things like that. And just having a faith through hard times. Then the summer after my senior year, I went to camp again, really grew a ton there, went on a mission trip, and that was kind of when I started to learn how to share my faith. And then just throughout college, I have continued to grow in it. Like I said before, it's kind of an up and down process. It's not perfect. I'm not a perfect person. There's definitely times where I'm closer to him, further from him, just all sorts of things like that. College is kind of a crazy time and definitely a season that I've had to learn how to navigate, especially being so new in my faith. And then the summer after my freshman year, I got rebaptized with one of my good friends. And then from there, like I said, continued to grow. My sophomore year, the second semester of my sophomore year, I joined some Christian organizations on campus, and then COVID hit. And in COVID, I kind of like learned how to lean in my faith more and just started to like really get into reading my Bible, things like that. Was attending church online just like everybody else. And then when I came back that summer before junior year, I like just got into really good Christian community, found a new church here with some of my friends. And throughout my junior year, I would say that's when I like really like dove into my faith and like really felt like solidified in it. Had a mentor, was in multiple Christian groups, like had small groups, was going to church, started volunteering in church, things like that. So like I said, not a perfect journey. I'm a senior now and still really in my faith. It's definitely kind of been a time where I feel further from him, just with like my schedule and things like that, but I'll get into that throughout the video. So that's just my like super brief, I guess, just background on my faith journey and things like that. I also, if you see me looking to the side, I per usual have my little notes to keep myself on track. So like I said, college can be a huge time of growth in your faith. Because like, it's really when your faith becomes your own. I know for me growing up, like it was never something that was forced on me, which I always really appreciated. But I do know like some people, they're forced to go to church on Sundays. They're forced to go to small groups, read their Bible and things like that. And so in college, it's when you're on your own for the first time and you have to be the one to make that decision of whether you're going to go to church, whether you're going to read your Bible, who you're going to be friends with, what groups you're going to join, things like that. And so it can be a huge time of growth. And also for a lot of people, they're just exposed to a lot more like people that are non-Christians and environments that are filled with temptation and things like that. So it just really helps you to grow and just kind of solidify in your faith if you choose to let it do so. And kind of going off that, that word choose is something that's really stuck in my brain, is the fact that the Christian faith starts with a choice. It starts with a choice to either choose to follow God or to not. And then it's followed by daily choices that determine if you're running closer to him or further from him. And so kind of going off that, like that extends into college, and every decision you make, it's choosing whether you're going to go to this party where like you might be tempted or things like that, or if you're going to go to small group instead and like choose to be around a Christian community. And so it's just a daily choice of choosing what you want to do. But then again, going off of that, being religious in college does not mean that you're lame or you're a loser or you're like an outcast, things like that. And like, it doesn't mean that you can't have fun and do things. Like I've mentioned before in other videos, like I am in a sorority, I do go out, I do drink, I do things like that, but it's choosing how to still stay grounded in your values and to still stay grounded in your faith. So one of the reasons I chose my sorority was because during recruitment, I was able to openly talk about my faith with the girls, met a lot of girls like my big who go to church and would talk about it with me. And my sorority also has a position, like an officer position called chaplain, which I'm actually currently the chaplain, and that person like opens chapter in prayer and like a little message, and like I did a Bible study in the spring, just things like that. And so that's part of the reason I chose this sorority, was the fact that I knew that I would still have some Christian community while also getting to be in a sorority. Those are the girls that I went to church with my first 2 years, things like that. And so it doesn't mean that you can't do things and you can't have fun. Like I said, I go out, I drink, I'm 21, like things like that, but it's choosing like to still remain in your values, like I said. So like for me, I personally like choose not to get drunk. I want to have full control over the situation. I don't think that I should be getting drunk in a party setting, things like that. And so I choose to just like kind of not ration, that's not the word, like limit how much I'm drinking and things like that. And I just choose to be able to still make decisions that won't compromise my values or my faith. But I still go out, I still have fun with my friends, I still do all of that stuff. I would say I've still gotten the full college experience that I wanted, while also being able to really dive into and grow in my faith. So like I said, it can be a huge time of growth, but it is about making those daily choices of whether you want to continue to grow in your faith or whether you're choosing to run away from him. So now I'm going to kind of get on to some tips. All right, so like I said, these tips are not a cure-all to having a perfect faith or anything like that. That's just not a thing. But these are just some things that I guess have helped me throughout the years, just be able to just stay true in my faith, dive into it, grow in it, things like that. So I have a list of like 7 things. Again, they kind of flow into each other, can be adapted, just whatever. But these are just things that I think are really important when I sat down to kind of prepare for this video. So the first thing that I think is one of the most important is to know your values. I know I talked about that earlier in the video and things like that, but that's because it is so huge. I think coming in to college, or even if you're in the middle of college, just sit down and really figure out what your values are and like where your faith is and like lines up with your values and things like that, because knowing your values allows you to set those boundaries and like have that in your head going into any situation. And so another like tip, I guess, is to like avoid situations of temptation. So I'm going to kind of talk about these two together. But it's knowing like when you're going into a situation, like I said, I go out. So when I've gone out in the past, like I know my values. I know I don't want to get drunk. I know I want to have control over the situation. I don't want to do things with boys, things like that. And so for me, it was always huge to know my values heading into the situation. So then when I was in the situation, I wasn't tempted by sin or like tempted by the like my circumstances and the environment and things like that. I was able to still stay strong to my values and my faith, even as I was having fun, dancing with my friends, going out, like hanging out, drinking, things like that. I could stick to my values while also having fun and things like that. So I just think it's really important to know your values as you head to college or as you continue throughout your college journey, and then also just like avoiding situations of temptation. If you, like I said, you can still have fun, things like that. But if you are someone who maybe struggles with drinking too much or things like that, then choosing to not put yourself into those situations, or choosing to limit how much you're putting yourself into that situation, or just trying to find factors or things like that that can help you not fall into like sin and things like that. And this also is not me trying to condemn anyone or judge anyone. Like I said, I go out, I drink, I do things, I've done things. Like this is just like tips that I have to like help you not like have that regret and guilt and shame like after, I guess. And like I said, everybody can choose to do their own thing. I don't control anybody else's lives. I'm not here to condemn anyone. I'm not here to judge. People can live their life how they want. This is just how I've chosen to try and stay true to my faith throughout the years. So the next thing that I think is the most important is prioritizing time with God. Obviously, you can't grow in your faith if you're not spending time with him. So I think it's huge to prioritize that time. I know for me, I'm super busy. College can be so busy. I'm in a lot of extracurriculars. Classes are a lot, especially as a senior. I have a ton of homework, things like that, trying to balance all of it, working out, eating healthy, like all of it. But I have been told and definitely strongly believe the fact that if your spiritual health is not there, no other part of your health is going to be good. Because that's the thing that grounds at least me personally the most and keeps me like in line and in check and like not as anxious and just things like that. Because when you're close to God, you get to live in those fruits of the spirit, like joy, peace, like all that type of stuff. So it definitely affects all of the other things. I think some huge ways to prioritize time with God is things like prayer. That is one of the easiest things you can do. It's literally just talking to God. I try to start and end my day in prayer. When I wake up in the mornings, I just kind of talk to him, just kind of ask for, like, I know right now, a lot of times I'm asking just for like peace and comfort throughout the day, just because my anxiety has been worse and things like that. So it's just kind of talking to him, getting the day ready, just thanking him for letting me wake up for another day. And then I also try to always end my day and just kind of like talk to him about like what happened, where my head was at, where my heart was at, just all those types of things. And I found that it's just a really peaceful way to wake up and fall asleep. And then I also will just like pray throughout the day. Like if I'm just kind of sitting around, I'll just talk to him, or if something's happening, like whatever it might be. And I think a huge thing to know is like prayer doesn't always have to be super fancy. Like half the time it's literally me just talking to him like a friend. Like I'm just an external processor. So like I'll just sit in the car and just like be talking out loud to him. And then another huge thing is church. Find a good church. Like that is one of the biggest things, because at least if nothing else, like going to church on Sunday, like go to church, be in community, spend time with him, worship with him, learn about him, things like that. Like if you don't do anything else throughout the week, like that is a huge thing, just to be around other people, because it'll also motivate you to want to spend time with him throughout the week on your own. And so for me, I went to one church my freshman and sophomore year, but I was not consistent at all. It was like sometimes I went, sometimes I didn't. I went with friends. And then over COVID, I started watching church a lot more regularly, just because what else was I doing? And so on Sundays, I would just watch it virtually. And then, like I said, when I came back over the summer, when COVID was still kind of going on, I started watching one of the ones down here virtually with some of my friends and just fell in love with it. They reopened in September 2020, so like a year ago, and the moment I walked in there, I felt so at home, and it has made the biggest difference in my life. I volunteer in the kids ministry now. I did an internship there this summer. It's given me such a good community, and like it's also just helpful being around like adults who are Christian and just in their faith, and I can just get advice from and just talk to and just be surrounded by. Like I love Sunday mornings. It is such a peaceful time for me, just a time to reset, things like that. I think another big way to prioritize time is making that time to study your Bible, whether that's just a 5-minute devotional in the morning, whether that's an hour of study time, watching a sermon, reading your Bible, whatever it might be. It depends on your season of life. I know right now I'm super busy. So for me, honestly, most of the time, it's literally just doing a quick devotional. Me and my boyfriend were going through a devotional together, and we like meet every week to do it, and it's just being able to like discuss it with each other and things like that. It's just listening to worship music when I'm driving to campus, or just anytime like that while I'm doing homework, whatever it might be. And then another huge thing that actually my boyfriend told me about was hangout time with God. And so it's like similar to prayer, but it's like a lot more just like kind of spending time with him. I mean, the way to have a great relationship is to spend quality time with someone. And so God shouldn't be any different. And so it's just being able to hang out with him. Like for me, I love to just go on walks and just kind of just be out in his creation and just like listening to worship music and just talking to him, or honestly just like sitting there sometimes just in silence, like whatever it might be. And so I think that's another huge thing. So that tip was kind of long, but it's just so important to prioritize time with God. I know the more I prioritize time with him, the less stressed I feel, the better I feel about everything else. So prioritize your time with God. The next thing is definitely something that I think I've struggled with and have tried, and I'm excited for like after college as well, is choose your friends wisely. The people that you surround yourself by have such a big influence on the way you act, your values, if you're going to continue to grow in your faith, things like that. I know for me, like my university, there's not a huge Christian population, which is totally fine. Like I said, that gives a lot of room for growth for me to be able to like share my faith and things like that. But it does make it hard to find like Christian community. But I think for me, like I've always grown up around a lot of people that like just come from all different religious backgrounds and stuff. And so like I still try to choose friends that like line up with my values, even if they're not Christian or they're not religious, but like that we can share in the same values and like still keep each other in check in that way. And so that's been really helpful, but I think it's just really important to choose who's influencing you and making sure they're not pulling you like further from your faith. Like I know for me, like I said, a lot of my friends aren't Christian, but they respect the fact that I am, and they don't sit there and make fun of me or like ridicule me, things like that. And we can still share in a lot of similar values. So just make sure to choose your friends wisely. My next tip, I've kind of talked about a little bit already, is get involved in a Christian community. It is so important to have community. That is something that I've struggled with since high school, wanting to just find good Christian community. I have found it multiple times, but always like, it's just hard. Like I want that to be my main friend group. But for me, like my church, like I said, I've gotten really involved there. There's not a ton of us like college kids, but I've like really enjoyed just getting to know like the young adults and just like adult leaders there and things like that, because it is helpful to have their wisdom, and just like they are just a lot more grounded in their faith and have been through the things that I'm going through. So it has been really helpful having that strong Christian community. And I loved being able to do an internship in the kids ministry there this summer. I just got to know a lot more of the volunteers and just like a lot more of the staff and things like that. So it's been really helpful and just really encouraging and helped my like faith journey, especially this year. And I also am in a Christian group on campus called Cru, which has been really helpful. It just gives me more people my age to hang out with. We go on retreats. We do like weekly meetings and things like that. And I've been able to be a student leader for Cru, which is really exciting and awesome and has helped me grow. And then, like I said, I was the chaplain for my sorority, so I was able to just kind of find some Christians through in my sorority and things like that. But community is huge. We were never meant to do this alone. We were always meant to be with other people in community, growing together, holding each other accountable, things like that. So find a Christian community. And then my next thing is get a mentor. I have always, again, struggled with finding a mentor, things like that. But then my junior year, I was able to find a mentor through Cru named Jamie, and she was just really able to help me like grow in my faith. I was able to just kind of have that contact point to ask questions. She helped hold me accountable. And we did like Bible studies together. She helped me learn how to share my faith, write a testimony, like all those types of things. And she just really encouraged and pushed me. And so I highly recommend finding a mentor. It can be somebody in college, out of college, whatever it might be, but just finding someone who's just older than you and has more wisdom and can just kind of help you through different struggles and things like that. I know for me also, like I said, I did do an internship in the kids ministry this summer at my church. And so the kids ministry director, April, she really has become a mentor for me also, just somebody that I can talk to. This summer, her and her assistant Emily, like I talked to them a ton about different things, and like April's just somebody that I can go to. And it's really helpful to also just have a mentor. Being 3 hours away from home, like I can't talk to my mom and things like that. And so having older people here that I can talk to when I need to just like talk to someone in person and not on the phone has been super helpful. So I definitely recommend that, because they can just help hold you accountable, and they just have more wisdom and things like that and can just guide you through situations. And then I think my last one is just doing something for others. That one I kind of threw in at the end while I was like writing and just praying about it. But as Christians, like we're supposed to just spread the light and love of Christ and just kind of in everything we do. So I think it's just important to like just be kind and do things for others. I know last semester in the spring, me and my roommate, we actually took a class where you had to do volunteering for the class and then like write about it. And that was honestly such a cool experience. I've always grown up volunteering and doing things like that. And so it was just like really awesome getting to do all my hours at one place and like building that like relationship with them. And actually it was a place called Fostering Hope. It's for like foster children. It was kind of crazy because my church actually partners up with them we do this thing called Love MB. Well, it's Love Myrtle Beach for anyone that's not around here. MB stands for Myrtle Beach. But they're actually one of our partners. So that was really cool to learn and be able to talk to like some of the staff at Fostering Hope about my church and things like that. So that was really cool. But also just like through my sorority, part of the reason I wanted to join a sorority was the volunteer opportunities and things like that. And it's even just simple things like just helping your friends, anything like that. But I think it's just a great way to just kind of like show the love of Christ and things like that. So yeah, I've definitely rambled a lot, but I think all of these tips are just so important. And just like I mentioned before, like your faith in college, like it can be such a time of growth for you and just like allows you to just really make it your own. Because you're the one choosing to go to church. You're the one who's choosing to read your Bible. You're the one choosing your friends, things like that. And so it's just really a time where you can grow and just branch out in your faith and just become bolder in it and learn how to share it with others and just share the love of Christ with people who aren't Christians and who are Christians and just holding people accountable. So definitely I recommend just kind of as you come into college, just know your values and know like that every single day you're making choices that either help you run towards God or run away from him. And the best life you can live is one running towards him. You'll just live a much more abundant and full life. So like I said, my journey has not been perfect. I'm not a perfect person. These aren't things that are just a cure-all. This isn't me trying to judge anyone. These are just things that have helped me grow and helped me just really dive into my faith while I've been in college. But with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, comment down below any other tips that you might have, any video ideas, anything like that, or like your favorite Bible verse, whatever it might be. Just give this video a huge thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you can get notified when I post new videos. Like I said in my last video, I'm trying to get more consistent and get better at posting, so make sure you hit that bell because you're not going to want to miss out. It's going to be super fun as this channel continues to grow. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.